are back with Reverse Engineering Wattpad, and today we'll be going through chapters 1 through 3 of Rosalind Jade's timeless classic story, Like Magic.
So, for those of you who remember, here is the cover image, which is also a timeless classic original piece of artwork by Rosalind Jade herself.
Yes.
That we are honored to share with you.
All right, and chapters 1 through 3, so that's going to be Little Giraffe's Big Adventure, Not Quite Home, and The Magic Trick.
Yes.
And here we go. All right, chapter 1, Little Giraffe's Big Adventure. Author's note. Hey everyone! I've been reading Wattpad books for a long time now, and I decided I wanted to write one myself. This book is the first in a 10-book series that I have planned out, and writing it has meant so much to me, and I hope you all love it as much as I do, and also special shout out to my girls Brittany, Amy, and Tiffany for always being there and helping me with the story. I heart all of you so much. Thanks to everyone who reads. I love you all so much too, and I hope you all like the cover image. I worked really hard on it! Exclamation marks, ones, and hearts.
Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire's point of view. I stepped out of the shower and grabbed a towel, drying off as I headed from my bathroom into my bedroom. My outfit, already carefully picked out, laid waiting on the bed for me. A purple shirt with a yellow and orange giraffe on it. Skinny, pre-shredded jeans, and my red Vans. I picked them up to get dressed, revealing my giraffe bedspread underneath. As I finished putting my clothes on, I happened to turn and catch my reflection in the full-length mirror of my closet door. I looked myself over in wonder, as though seeing myself for the first time. My auburn mane cascades down from the top of my head in thick tresses, framing my face like a heart inside a flaming picture frame, and reaches a terminus in the middle of my back. On windy days, the breeze lifts it all around my head like a crown of blazing fire, lancing into the distance in every direction. And inside that picture frame, I see the reflection of my piercing eyes, two orbs of opposing shades. One is blue like the deepest depths of a tropical lagoon, a limpid body of purity defending its borders against the encroachments of my pupil and scleria. The other is a verdant green, like an untamed forest in lands not yet charted by man, and championing the true, lush vibrancy of Mother Nature. My skin is an luminous alabaster, like the purest ivory white of the Milky Way against the eternal darkness of the universe, radiating brilliantly against an uncaring and unfeeling void. I couldn't help but sigh. I just couldn't believe how plain I look.
Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire!
I snapped back into reality to the sound of Grandma Rose's voice calling me from downstairs. Grandma Rose is my grandma. What is it, Grandma Rose? I called back.
We have to leave soon or we're going to be late.
In a panic, I started racing around my room, finishing up the packing I had so carefully put off for the last week. I'll be there in a minute, Grandma Rose, I shouted. All of the personal effects around my room that had meant so much to me to be packed up in a box in advance, and now they had to go. I started with my bedspread, ripping it off my bed and tossing it into a large, empty box. I can use that as a cushion for the other stuff I pack, I thought, since the bedspread was soft.
I started carefully laying down my collection of pipe cleaner animals on top of it, making sure to fold the bedspread over every one of them as I did. There were 137 in total, all representing a different species of animal, but the very first one I had ever made, the giraffe, I kept out of the box to take with me in the car. Finally, on top of them, I put the framed picture I keep of the person who introduced me to pipe cleaner animals in the first place, my mother. It was a picture of us making the giraffe when I was 3 years old. I felt myself tearing up a little as I put it in the box. My mother was the most free-spirited, independent person I'd ever known, and she was the one who had given me my name. Rosalind, in honor of her mother, my Grandma Rose. Jasmine, because when I was born I was so pure that I smelled like jasmine, and Sapphire, because I had a sapphire-shaped birthmark on my hip. I loved her more than anyone, and I loved the name she gave me, and growing up I had never let anyone give me any nicknames because it was important to her, so it was important to me. And the very last things to get packed? My One Direction posters! I absolutely cannot live without them. There were 3 of them, all hung in different parts of my room. One was hanging on the bedroom door. It showed Harry, Liam, Zayn, Louis, and Niall all playing together on stage, looking out into the sea of fans who had come to see them. I looked at that poster whenever I needed to feel inspired because I was so totally jealous of everyone in that crowd that I had promised myself I'd go see them one day. The second hung on the wall across from my bed. It showed Harry, Liam, Zayn, Louis, and Niall all standing against an alley wall with their arms crossed, looking a bit serious. I looked at that one whenever I was feeling a little sad. The third showed Harry, Liam, Zayn, Louis, and Niall all standing in a circle looking down, smiling. I hung it on the ceiling above my bed so they could always look down on me and give me happy dreams. I folded each of the posters into the bedspread twice just to be sure they were safe. Author's note. Lol, I would have folded them 3 times, picked the box up, and walked downstairs with it. Finally ready. Grandma Rose was in the kitchen. I put the box down and walked in.
I'm ready, Grandma Rose, I said. Grandma Rose looked me up and down.
Rosalind, Jasmine, Sapphire, just look at you all grown up, she said. I can't believe you're going to college. But after she said that, her eyes started to tear up. If only your mother could see you now. She would be so proud of you, she said, beginning to cry.
I started to cry too. I miss her a lot, Grandma Rose, I said, trying to keep it together.
So do I, Rosalind, Jasmine, Sapphire, Grandma Rose said. It's so tragic the way she died. From 37 different kinds of cancer. Breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, 35 other kinds too. She gave me a hug. I hugged her back, and we kept hugging until we were finished crying. The rest of your bags are already in the car, Grandma Rose said. We can go whenever you are ready. And here, I got this for you for the ride in the car.
Grandma Rose handed me a bag of plain potato chips, the absolute best food in the world.
Author's note. You know it's true.
I looked around the kitchen I had eaten so many meals in, and the cupboard I had taken so many bags of plain potato chips from, and the toaster I had put so many slices of bread in, and the sink I had washed so many dishes in, and the fridge I had taken so many juice boxes from. And the realization that I was about to leave it all behind finally started sinking in. I felt myself starting to cry again. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, Grandma Rose, I said, my voice trembling. What if college doesn't work out for me?
This will always be your home, and you will always be welcome here if you want to come back, little giraffe, Grandma Rose said, giving me another hug. I could hear her start to cry again, too. But this is what your mother would have wanted for you. Don't you think you should at least give it a chance?
I wiped my tears away and nodded. Thank you, wise old turtle. With that, we left the kitchen and I picked up the last box again. We left the house and got into the car. As we pulled out of the driveway, I opened the bag of chips and looked back at the house as long as I could still see it through the window, completely uncertain about what was going to happen in this new chapter of my life I was starting.
Author's note. Yay, my first chapter is complete! I'm actually a real writer now, lol. God, man, it's one thing to write these author's notes, it's another thing entirely to read them out loud.
So I keep making you do it.
Alright, thank you. Alright. Chapter 2. Not quite home. Oh my god. Author's note. Hey! Why is everyone saying that I stole my story from other stories on Wattpad? I promise I didn't steal it from anyone. Just because it's a little similar to A Magic Love, Love Defies Magic, The Bad Boys Magic, The Magic Date, Kisses Sweeter Than Magic, A Magical Heart, and Magic in the Air doesn't mean that Like Magic is stolen. If you don't like it, just stop reading them. But also thanks to everyone who had nice comments as well. I love you so much.
Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire's point of view. On the way to my new college life, Grandma Rose and I played my moving playlist, which has a bunch of songs I put together to listen to when I moved to college on it. They are my favorite songs, like Best Song Ever by One Direction.
Author's note. And it is totally the best song ever, winky face.
And Grandma Rose and I laughed and sang along and even cried a little to If I Could Fly. My mom used to tell me I had the voice of an angel, but I never believed her. In grade 4, I had a solo in the school choir, and everyone clapped really loud, but I don't think I'm a good singer. But that doesn't mean I could enjoy singing with Grandma Rose in the car from time to time. When we pulled up to the campus, I felt butterflies in my tummy. This was it. I held the pipe cleaner giraffe to my heart. This is for you, Mom. On the lawn, boys and girls stand together, some even kissing. They sure didn't have this in high school. We found a parking spot and followed a group of bright-eyed students and tearful parents to a desk sitting outside the school where they asked for our names and gave us our room numbers and schedules. My room number was 333. I couldn't believe it. My favorite number 3 times. That had to mean good things would happen in college. This is going to be a good year, I told Grandma Rose. I can feel it. She marveled at me with tears brimming in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. When I unlocked my dorm room, I was surprised to see posters covering one side of the room. The posters all showed a bunch of bands dressed completely in black, with black hair, and they all had black eyeliner too. And none of them were even smiling. The bed was made with a dark black and red sheets, the pillows a dark purple. Sitting on the bed, and the owner of all the posters and the sheets was my roommate.
Oh my God, she said. You must be my roommate. I'm Raven. She got up and hugged me. Raven had straight ebony hair that framed her face with red and purple highlights. She had tattoos running up and down her pale, skinny arms. I had never known someone with so many tattoos in my life. She wore a black dress that hugged her curves in all the right places and left little to the imagination, especially with her top.
Hi, I spluttered. I'm Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire.
It's so nice to meet you, she was smiling. This will be your side of the room, obviously. Sorry if you wanted the other one, but I had dibs.
This will be fine, I told her and set down my box. Grandma Rose and I brought the rest of my stuff into the room, and at some point when we were gone, 2 boys decided to drop by, and one of them was sitting on my bed. The other was sitting on Raven's bed with her arms wrapped in his. Hi, I said, not knowing what else to say.
Oh, hey, this is my boyfriend, Spike, Raven said. Spike, this is my roommate.
Awkwardly, I waved at Spike. He had spiky hair and looked a little too old to be in college. I turned my attention from him to the boy sitting on my bed. His hair was a dazzling chestnut, standing out against the pale white of his skin. His eyes were a deep brown that turned the most beautiful shade of amber when they caught the light. His defined jawline was sharp enough to cut diamonds, but none of that was what drew me to him. What drew me to him was the fact that he was sitting on my bed and didn't ask. Excuse me, I said, that's my bed. He looked up at me, and those amber orbs bore into mine. I was completely caught off guard by his eyes, so much that I almost missed what he said.
So?
His voice was deep, too. I felt my face heating up. I looked to Raven for help, but she was too busy sucking faces, or, as people call it, kissing, with Spike to help me. I looked at Grandma Rose, who looked horrified. I want to unpack my bed sheets, I said to the boy on my bed. Can you please move?
Oh, come on, Ace, Raven said, finally taking a break from kissing Spike to come to my rescue. Let her unpack. Whatever, Ace said, getting up.
He sure is rude, I thought. He sat next to Raven, but not close enough that he was touching her. I began unpacking my clothes with help from Grandma Rose. We worked fast to get everything organized by color, just like it was back home. I began putting my pipe cleaner animals when Grandma Rose announced it was time for her to go.
I have a long drive home, she told me.
I could feel myself tearing up. Oh, Grandma Rose, I hugged her. Let me walk you to your car. The walk was too short. I wasn't ready to say goodbye to her. We hugged again, and when we pulled away, Grandma Rose looked back towards the school.
Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire, just promise me you'll be careful.
What do you mean? I asked, not understanding what she meant.
Well, it's just that with there being boys in your dorm, Well, boys usually only want one thing. Sometimes they'll take their things and...
I shrieked, turning the deepest shade of red in my life. I'm in college! I don't need you to give me a talk about the birds and the bees! I couldn't believe her!
Author's note. Oh, for real though, Grandma Rose. I mean, seriously? LMAO. Grandma Rose sighed. You're right, she said. I guess I'm just not used to you being out on your own. I watched tears fall from her eyes. My own tears started to fall, and then we collapsed into each other's arms for what felt like the last time. After Grandma Rose drove away, I went back to my room to finish unpacking my pipe cleaner animals and One Direction posters. Raven, Spike, and Ace were all still there. When I got there, my eyes shot up in disbelief. Ace was sitting on my bed again.
Excuse me, I said. What are you doing back on my bed?
Ace shrugged. Put your sheets on, he said. I couldn't believe how inconsiderate he was. I stuck my tongue out at him, and he arched an eyebrow. Raven broke from her latest kiss with Spike. Ace, be nice to Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire. Ace looked over at me, and for the first time so did Spike. Your name is Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire? They both asked at the same time.
Yeah. Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire Paige Mackenzie Braden. What's wrong with that? I asked.
That's a weird name, Ace said with another shrug. I think I'm just going to call you Rosie instead.
Hey, I exclaimed. You can't call me Rosie. My name is Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire.
Sure thing, Rosie, he said. Spike laughed. I was really getting angry.
Well, what kind of a name is Ace? I asked. Is it that? Or do you even have a last name?
Ace Pike, he said really casually. Nice to meet you, Rosie. What's up with all of the pipe cleaner animals? Spike asked.
He noticed them, I thought. He must really like them.
They look really dorky, he added with a sneer. I was going to say juvenile, Ace added casually. They started debating whether my pipe cleaner animals were more dorky or juvenile.
My heart completely plummeted. How could they be so cruel? My pipe cleaner animals were the strongest link to the memory of my mom, the things I used to stay connected to her. They don't know that, I thought. But now I'm not going to tell them. I fought really hard not to start crying right then and there.
Raven saw how upset I was getting. Okay, guys, I think you've overstayed your welcome, she said. Ace shrugged again like he didn't care at all and moved past me out the door without even apologizing. Spike tried to kiss Raven a few more times, but she shooed him away. Well, maybe I'll come back a bit later tonight then, he said in a not at all subtle tone of voice. Raven laughed and pushed him out the door. Isn't he such a sweetheart? She asked. I shook my head in disbelief. It wasn't quite home, but it would have to do.
There's no author's note for you this time.
Not. Right.
Chapter 3, The Magic Trick. Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire's point of view. I don't know about this, Raven.
Oh, come on, Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire. It's the night before classes start. You have to go to a party.
But...
No buts. Well, unless they are hot guys' butts, that is. I blushed, and Raven threw her head back and laughed. Author's note. Lol, my friends and I make that joke all the time.
It was night and we were walking across campus to a frat house to go to a party. I was really nervous about going because I hadn't been to many parties before, but Raven said the entire school would be there and everyone would think I was completely lame if I didn't go. What choice did I have? We got to the house. I could already hear the music inside and it was really loud. I was shocked when I heard the lyrics because they were so misogynistic I can't even repeat them here. 2 frat guys were standing on the porch acting like bouncers. They smirked when we walked up to them.
You 2 girls looking for a fun time? One of them asked. The other one laughed and nudged him. Yeah, we came to party, Raven said. We always like having more girls at our parties, the first one said. The other one laughed and nudged him again. Then the first one nudged him back.
These 2 sure nudge each other a lot, I thought. They stepped aside and opened the door for us. We started walking in.
You just have to pay the entry fee, the first one said, and tried to kiss me.
Before I could even think about it, I effectively slapped him across the face as hard as I could.
Author's note, you go, girl.
He staggered back a little bit, really shocked about what I had done. His friend looked shocked too, and so did Raven. He got an angry look on his face. I'm sorry, I stammered. He took a step towards me, but before anything else could happen, Raven grabbed my wrist and pulled me inside the house. Safe!
That's some way to start your first college party, Raven said with a laugh. I laughed a little too.
The frat house was completely packed with people. They were all over the place. A bunch of people were making out on a couch. They were so drunk, I bet they didn't even know who they were making out with.
Come on, let's get a drink, Raven said, pulling me toward a table with a cooler on it.
Raven, we're not 21 yet. We're not supposed to drink, I exclaimed.
Oh, please, this is college, she replied, clearly not bothered by the thought of breaking the law. She reached into the cooler and pulled out 2 beers, giving one to me. Fancy running into you two here, said a voice from behind me.
I turned around and saw that it was Ace. He was smirking.
Hi, Ace. Is Spike here? Raven asked. He's in the living room playing beer pong, Ace replied casually.
What's beer pong? I asked, not knowing what they were talking about.
They both laughed at me. I should have known you wouldn't have any idea what that is, Ace said. You really don't strike me as much of a partier, Rosie.
I stamped my foot angrily. Hey, I told you before, my name is Rosalind Jasmine Sapphire, not Rosie.
Whatever, he said, not caring. Well, I'm going to go find Spike, Raven said, walking away. Ace looked at me, still smirking. Have you ever even had a beer before? He asked, nodding at the drink in my hand.
Yes, for your information, I have, I lied. I went to parties all the time in high school.
Oh, really? He said, like he didn't believe me. Prove it.
How?
Chug that beer, he said.
What?
I mean, unless you're chicken.
I'm not a chicken. Fine, I'll chug it. Our conversation was drawing attention from other people in the room. They formed a circle around us, eager to watch me chug the beer. I opened the can and looked around at all the people watching.
Well, what are you waiting for? Ace teased. I felt my face get hot. I decided that I was never going to like this guy. But it was too late for me to back down from the challenge, so I tilted my head back and started chugging. I only got about 2 gulps down before I had to stop. It was so gross. I coughed and sputtered and the beer came back up. I fell to my hands and knees, unable to keep standing. The entire room started laughing at me. Ace laughed louder than anyone else. Yeah, I bet you were the life of all those parties in high school, Rosie, he said, walking away.
I told you, I coughed, barely able to get the words out. my name isn't Rosie, it's... He was already gone, and the crowd was dispersing. I was so embarrassed. Suddenly, Raven was back, helping me to my feet.
What happened? Are you okay? She asked.
I tried to chug a beer, I said, blushing.
Well, that was a stupid thing to do, she said.
You don't have to tell me, I sighed in defeat. Did you find Spike?
Yeah, but he's too busy playing beer pong for me, she shrugged.
But you're his girlfriend. Doesn't he want to spend time with you?
Raven gave me a weird look. You haven't dated many guys before, have you? She asked.
I blushed again, even more embarrassed, which a moment ago I didn't think was possible.
Here, come on, let's go have some fun, Raven said. We walked into a different room. I immediately got angry again because Ace was in there. He was sitting at a table, shuffling a deck of cards. A bunch of people were standing around him. One of them was a girl who was dressed in just about the skimpiest dress I've ever seen. She had her arms all over him.
I was about to try to quietly step back out of the room, but he saw me before I could.
Hey, it's Rosie the party girl, he said. The crowd around him all laughed. Hey, Rosie, come on over here.
I couldn't walk away now, so Raven and I went over to his table. Ace kept shuffling the deck without even looking at it, his eyes on me.
Want to see a trick? He asked.
What, like a magic trick? I asked.
Yeah, don't you know that I'm magic? He smirked.
I hate to break this to you, but magic is not real, I said back.
Of course it is, he replied really casually. I'm so magic, I bet I'll have you in love with me by the end of the month. He winked at me.
I felt my face get completely red, and the crowd laughed at me again. That will never happen, I said.
I don't know why you'd want such a dork to be in love with you anyway, Ace, said the girl in the skimpy dress, giving me a scowl.
Hey, resting bitch face, why don't you back off and go find the rest of the dress you're wearing, I snapped.
She got a look of complete shock on her face, her mouth dropping open. Raven started laughing. The girl put her hands on her hips. Why, you little... Girls, please, Ace said, making the peace. There's enough of me to go around.
Well, I don't want any of you, I said, crossing my arms to show that I meant it.
Care to test that theory? Ace said in a mocking voice.
How?
He held the deck of cards in front of him, spreading them out. Pick a card, he said. It will tell you what's in your future.
Yeah, right, I smiled.
Scared, he asked. Resting bitch face and the rest of the crowd all started laughing again.
Fine, I said. I'll pick a stupid card. I pulled one up from the deck, bringing it up to my face to look. But I don't see how... I froze, my jaw dropping.
What is it? Raven asked, looking over my shoulder at the card. She gasped. Well? Ace asked, smirking.
I couldn't believe it. It was the Ace of Hearts.
Author's note, winky face, totally not foreshadowing anything there, lol.
It's, I stammered.
Melissa, what are you doing? Shouted a voice from behind.
I turned around and saw a really big drunk guy coming into the room, a plastic cup in his hand. He went right over to resting bitch face.
I turned my head away for 1 second, and now you got your arms all over some other guy, he yelled at her. Whatever, you don't own me, she yelled back. Ace stood up. Why don't you get lost, he sneered at the guy. I think the lady has made her choice.
It was like time stood still for a moment, and then the drunk guy threw his drink in Ace's face. In a flash, Ace leapt across the table and tackled the guy. They rolled around on the floor together, punching each other. The crowd all started cheering on them, going, fight, fight, fight. Raven looked at me.
So, glad you came, she asked with a smile.
I couldn't answer her. All I could do was look back at the card I had picked, the card I was still holding in my hand.
Author's note. So, what do you think? Will Ace's predictino turn out to be true? Let me know in the comments below.
Predictino.
Yeah, so the typos are in fact deliberate, in case you haven't picked up on that just yet. And I guess that's going to do it for today. So we will be back next time with, what are we doing, chapters 4 through 7 next time, I think.
I think so, yeah. So,
all right.
let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.